Hey, what's up, witches? I'm off screen today, but I've been really in the mood to do some more collective tarot readings lately. I know it's been a while, but with the autumn equinox coming up this weekend, I figured what better time to pull some cards for everyone and just see what the vibe is going in to this fall. For this reading, I really wanted to bust out my Druid Plant Oracle and my Druid Craft Tarot and pull some cards from those for you guys. Just because, yeah, that's the vibe that I'm feeling. So let's do it. All right, so starting with the Druid Craft Tarot. I'm going to be really bad at shuffling these because, as you can see, they are friggin' huge. But let's see, what energies do we need to carry with us going into the darker months of the year, the latter half of the year, as things start winding down. We get into those cozy fall vibes. What lessons do we need to take with us? What wisdom? What should we be aware of? Any changes on the horizon? The King of Swords. The King of Pentacles and the Three of Cups. So the King of Swords is definitely tied to and presiding over the air element, which is communication, logic, wisdom, thinking clearly and objectively. And he is the epitome of that, being the king, lord over this element, if you will. And I always like to think of the sword in particular as being like a sword of truth or a sword of justice. And with it, you're able to cut through the bullshit, so to speak, and see what do you need to be focusing and honing your mind on. Where do you need to be decisive and discriminating and make those logical decisions and take an objective step back from things? So this is definitely giving me very like Tyr energy of being like a man of swift and sure decisions when the moment calls for it. And so the booklet for this one gives the meaning of keywords: intellectual, decisive, discriminating. And it says that if this card does refer to a specific person, it could be someone coming into your life that could offer you that kind of objective, logical perspective and give you sound advice on things, especially if you need help with legal or financial matters, because they're able to kind of stick straight to the facts. But it could also mean, as always, that we need to seek and bring forth these qualities within ourselves. So you could be facing a need for some logical and intellectual honesty with yourself and a need to step back and be objective about matters instead of getting too emotional or caught up in your head about things. You need to just take a step back and finally make a decision. So I would say, as far as energies and wisdom that we need to carry forth with us into the latter half of the year, that definitely rings true for me, because the latter half of the year, fall and winter, I think is definitely Odin's domain. And when those deities come more to the forefront and those energies come more to the forefront, and Odin is definitely one that I associate with the element of air, not only those strong, cold, brisk gusts of wind that we start getting this time of year, but as also a god of communication, intellect, that this element and that the swords represent. So we're definitely going into his time of year, not surprising that he makes his presence known, but these are also traits that you may need to be making available to and cultivating within yourself going into the autumn equinox and carrying that energy forward through the end of this cycle. So, King of Pentacles, very similar. Again, we have the Lord in this domain, only instead it's very much giving me Dagda energy because Pentacles are tied to earthly matters such as wealth, career, financial success, and all those material comforts. So you can see he definitely has these material comforts around him. He's not out on this lone rocky promontory. He's sitting by his hearth. There's a full-on boar roasting on the fire. So he definitely seems cozy and well taken care of. I'm also seeing some holly in the background here, which in like Druidic and Celtic Wheel of the Year imagery, we start to see this time of year going into the battle for supremacy of the Oak King versus the Holly King, which could just be said to be different aspects of the divine, transitioning from the warmer months of the year and into those more fallow months. And the long nights of winter, that's when we also go into hibernation mode along with the earth and need to kind of go and seek within. Not only, as we retreat indoors, but seek within ourselves. 'Tis the season for shadow work. So it says the keywords for the King of Pentacles are responsible, steadfast, and productive. He exudes a sense of contentment and satisfaction with his life. He doesn't really have a lot of those earthly concerns when you strip it down to their bare bones and like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. He's got shelter, he's got fire, warmth, comfort, and good food on the table. All of those material comforts of the world that we need to be content and happy. So this is also the energy that we need to be taking with us into those darker months of the year. Now is the time of harvest when we get to reap what we have sown and literally enjoy, in some cases, the fruits of our labor. With harvest time, now is the time when we get to enjoy those fruits that have been growing and ripening all year. So not only is the winter and the fall time to celebrate those harvests, I'm looking forward to going to a local fall harvest festival near me soon to just vibe and enjoy those energies before winter really sets in and we're all stuck indoors. But that is the time when we rely on those material comforts more than ever. Things like being warm, things like indulging in rich, comforting foods and holiday foods. Like pumpkin spice isn't just for us basic fall bitches. It's a warming, comforting spice that literally warms your body from within. And since it's also associated for many of us with those warm holiday memories, it becomes even more of a hearty, comforting food this time of year. So not only does this card just practically mean that you could go into the fall and the winter experiencing an improvement in your financial wealth, career, worldly status, but it's not only a time to seek within ourselves mentally, but also while we are stuck indoors, a time when we can be productive by not only working on ourselves, but by working on improving our home, working on pet projects, so that we can emerge into the brighter months and into the spring, having already like kind of to bring something to bear, something to show for it during our hibernation. But yeah, don't be afraid to also rely on those material comforts. And finally, the Three of Cups. So definitely, again, a time for feasting, friendship, making merry, coming together to celebrate, again, like the harvest, the fruits of our labor, and to rely on others and rely on friendship and fellowship to get us through those darker months of the year and those long, cold nights of winter. That's when we have to rely on community, because, like, the lone wolf is not going to survive the winter. So again, the keywords are celebration, friendship, gifts. Now, the cups in traditional tarot are tied to the element of water and the more emotional realm of things, like love, relationships, not just love relationships, but all kinds of relationships, as we see here, celebratory friendships as well. So we are definitely going into the months of the year that might be, when seasonal depression can set in, but it's also when we have those celebratory holidays to counteract them, when we come together with friends and family and gather to celebrate. So I myself will be attending some pagan gatherings with my fellowship in the coming month. But it is a time to honor those seasonal cycles now, perhaps more than at any other time during the wheel of the year. We have the fall when we, gather the fruits of the harvest, celebrate all that the year has given to us, and those fruits and seasonal things that we subside on, and back in the day that our ancestors would have relied on to carry them through the winter. But it's a time when we seek those comforts and seek the joy of gathering with others and seek the company of others. So I think it's important to remember that this balances out this cold, stoic, logical, always turning inward energy of the King of Swords. Now, 'tis the season for shadow work, 'tis the season to do those types of things, but don't do it to the point of going full on hermit mode, as I myself am even want to do in these latter months of the year, even more than I am my normal homebody self. It can be really easy to go into that full-on hibernation mode where you're self-isolating. So I think it's important to remember that now is also the time of year to celebrate your achievements and with others and gather together with your chosen family, or just to not hesitate to reach out to friends when you need to and celebrate each other's little joys and those little wins. This is the time of year to honor those cycles both without and within. So very fitting energies coming forward for the autumn equinox. Let's see what the Druid Plant Oracle has to add. We'll pick one card from here to focus on a specific plant and plant energy to take into this harvest time, because now is the time when all of those plants are achieving their full ripeness, the fullness of their growth. So it's just like that cusp, that peak heightened energy moment right before we kind of go over the hill of the roller coaster and coast into fall and winter, and those plant life energies start to die back and go into hibernation mode. So I figured it would be an appropriate time to call on some plant energies in the form of this oracle and see what wisdom the plants have to teach us today. Poppy, interesting. I mean, we all know of its modern day association with opium and all of those plant-derived products used in the past, I'm sure, for their psychedelic and trance-inducing properties, but also can be used medicinally. But let's see what the guidebook says about the poppy. So it says that the keywords to associate with the poppy are redemption, motherhood, and remembrance. I know here where I live in Kornheim in the US, it's not so common anymore, but every now and then you'll still see like veterans groups standing outside of the grocery store taking change donations, and they'll offer you like a fake little poppy in return. So even in the modern day, among a lot of like veterans associations and groups and like war memorial and remembrance groups, the poppy is a symbol of remembrance. And reversed, it can also have the properties maybe associated with its more opiate effects, such as languidness, excess, indifference. The common poppy probably came to Britain with the first Neolithic farmers. It says each plant produces an average of 17,000 seeds, many of which will lie dormant for years in the earth before springing into life. The card shows a poppy growing on a hot midsummer's day, while in the background we do see a round barrow or hill tomb with the entrance open, symbolizing both tomb and womb, death and the mother goddess. So definitely that juxtaposition that I was talking about with the energies being like right on that cusp of the full height of midsummer is past, and now we're going into the darker half of the year when, as we're all want to say in the witchy woo-woo space, the veil is thin. And there's just that energy shift from life energy into death energy. So the meaning for the poppy with this deck is that the poppy combines vigor and tenderness. They seem to disappear forever, then one season, as if out of the blue, poppies can return to a hillside or field to astonish us with their beauty. This may suggest the reappearance of someone or something in your life that you thought you had lost forever. So long dormant or long buried energy surfacing, which definitely I think could go for this being shadow work season. It may indicate that a quality or feeling you felt you could no longer access will become available to you again. Some things have to be forgotten or hidden for a while before they can return to surprise us. And that's definitely what I associate, especially with Hell, as being a goddess of not just death, but for me personally, also with shadow work, because those parts of ourselves that we thought we had cast away or were long dormant or buried, if you will. She cares for those shadow selves, those parts of us that we outcast for one reason or another, and then gives them back to us when we're ready to tackle it and reintegrate. So I think that's definitely some important things to keep in mind, is like now can be a time for reflection and remembrance, and like I said, turning within, looking within, but to not take it too far to the point that those reversed meanings come into play of languidness, indifference, stagnancy. It's not, this time is not just a time of death, but also of rebirth. And last but not least, if I can get them out of the box with my nails here, I want to pull from my little crystal deck just to see, along with the plant energy that we called in, for this reading, if there are any other energies that perhaps some crystals or some shiny rocks could help us with, because you know I'm always a fan of my shiny rocks. What energies do we need? What can help us with this transition time? into the latter half of the year. This one wanted to pop out. It's green calcite. Green calcite is the emo, honest to a fault, believes in storybook endings, tree hugger of the calcite family. So I guess one could say that we're going into the emo goth months of the year. Who needs it? Anyone who finds themselves lost in the forest of doubt without a map, or Libras. Where to put it against your chest when making important decisions regarding how you want to spend the precious, finite time you have on Earth. When to use it, when your heart is asking for something, but you, aren't listening. The heart wants what it wants. The mind wants what it thinks the heart should want. So again, kind of balancing out that logical energy. Call in the energy of green calcite to nudge that push and pull in the heart's favor. So I think that's a fitting place to end this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I definitely love these more druidic decks that I have and need to start using them more, but I felt that the energies and the vibes would be good for this autumn equinox communal reading. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you vibe with this, and this is just something to reflect on and take with us as we enter fall and the winter. So until next time, stay classy, pagan.